Hi folks, and today we have with us Roman Light, who's a researcher of alternative paradigms, and he's dedicated to spreading his research around the world. Pioneers in developing non-decimal arithmetic and alternative technology that manifests fractal patterns, morpho-symbiotic fields, and molecular mechanisms to create bridges between science and spirituality. He's an expert with the Hermetic matrix. So Roman, please tell us a little bit about what this is, the Hermetic matrix, and what got you into it, and where you're at now with it all.
All right, so thanks for this beautiful meeting. So what is the sacred arithmetics? What is the Hermetic knowledge? It seems that when we came in this reality, we were just born and we didn't really have a manual, just came and we just had to learn through our own existence and experience and trying and making mistakes and learning from our parents and the school and the government and all that. And we never really had access to laws. The laws that we have is the law that govern our societies. But the law of physics, the law of reality are not really known. And actually, it took me quite a few years to realize that this is the base of the Hermetic knowledge. The Hermetic knowledge is the studying of the real law of reality. And when you start to work with them, it's actually expanding quite a lot your perception of yourself and your perception of who you are and the perception of what is this reality. So, yeah, I came across what now I call sacred arithmetics. Through a journey that I wasn't really prepared for, and I haven't really made any study in science or mathematics or nothing like that. I'm more a musician, like my background is more music, and I consider myself more as an artist than a researcher. But there's just one reality, so if I could enjoy art, I also have to enjoy one of the manifestation of creation in existence, because physics is the study of reality. So if I can enjoy the expression of creation through my own art, then I should be able to appreciate the reality for what it is, as an expression of the creator through what we see as reality. So yeah, I just like experiment this and discover the kind of pattern, and I don't know why, but it really talked to me. It really it felt true, and it was like 3-4 years ago now, and in the very beginning I thought I was just crazy, because I was like, yeah, that's way too far away from our perception of reality. But then after talking to a few people, I found out that I wasn't the only one to be crazy, and yeah, like just brought me where I am today.
Mm-hmm. And we were talking about the importance of number in reality. So would you like to explain a little bit about this?
So in my understanding, the numbers are a kind of intermediary between form and meaning. So if you look at the number 1, for example, number 1 is one vertical straight line, and this is a shape, this is a form. But if you see number 1 as a whole, then you will represent a human body, for example, or a guitar, or a banana, or a stone. Like, you'll be one element of something. So the numbers have this ability to be defined by the meaning that we give of them, the shape that we give of them, and the representation, the symbolic representation that we can give to them. So in a way, they are an intermediary between the meaning, which is something consensual, and the shape, which is something that everyone can observe. There's an infinite amount of observation, of meaning that you can give, but then there's just one form. And that's what reunify the whole paradigm about numbers. So then we can start to play with them. We can start to addition, subtract, and work with them and start to see mechanism. The big problem that I have today is with the decimal system. Because when we understand really how reality works, like all the example that I gave, a human body, a stone, a banana, all that are made of atoms. And each of those atoms are composed of 99.9999% of vacuum, of nothingness. So what is the difference between pure vacuum, the one that we can observe in the sky? So this is pure vacuum or deorganized vacuum, non-atomic vacuum, and matter that we see in this reality, which is 99.9999% empty. So that's where my big question came first. Like, how can we differentiate the subatomic vacuum with the vacuum that we see between planets, for example? And I came to the conclusion that the vacuum between the planets is a kind of raw vacuum. It's a kind of raw, deorganized, non-organized vacuum, where matter is a processed vacuum. It's an organized vacuum. So that's how I define the difference between both. But then when you look at the numbers, it seems that the zero, which is normally the absence of numbers because it's a non-number, the zero represents this raw vacuum. So it's a deorganized vacuum. It's something that hasn't shaped yet, and we just symbolize it as a circle. And if we take all the other numbers, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9, each of those numbers represent an element that would be the combination, so the organization of this vacuum. It's going to be a processed vacuum. So the question that I asked first was, how can we put 1 and 0 next to each other? If one is a raw vacuum and the other one is a processed vacuum, how can you put them at the same level? How can you put something that is the container of the reality, because it seems that the vacuum is containing reality, which, by the way, is not vacuum. Like, we think it's vacuum, we think it's empty and devoid of nothing, but it's actually so dense, as Nassim Haramein explained. It's so dense that if we were containing, I don't remember exactly numbers, but if we're containing all the stars of the universe, every atom of the universe, and put them into a dice of 1 centimeter cube, the vacuum would still have 20 more density than this cube. So it would be like just an incredible amount of density, which means an incredible amount of energy. So what we see as vacuum is not vacuum. It's actually full of something. So, but yeah, to stay in this definition, we have a raw material and a processed material. So how can we put 1 and 0 at the same level? First, it's like saying that, water has properties. Mercury, for example, has properties similar to water in a way. But both of them are very, very, like, they have a similar shape, but they're very different in the organization. If we take like glass and water, for example, then you will see like glass is quite a solid element and water is quite a flexible element. But if you put the 0 next to the 1, it's like saying water and glass are the same. And for me, it doesn't really make sense. For me, glass is glass, water is water. Both of them are made of vacuum. I agree with that, of course. Both of them are 99.9999% of vacuum, of course. But the organization, the process, the structuration of it isn't the same.
It's entirely different, yeah.
It's entirely different. So, like, that's where one day I just came across this, and I had to redefine the decimal system. And in my understanding, we are misunderstanding the decimal system, and we are using something that all the musicians know very well, which is called harmonics. Harmonics is a principle where when you finish a cycle, you start another cycle. Like after do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, we start another do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, and another do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si. So it's a cycle that is created. And what I think is the decimal system is nothing more than a wrong interpretation of this harmonic principle. So basically what we see as 10 is a kind of harmonic of 1, because 10 is 1 and 0. 1 and 0 is not 1, because 1 is 1. It's like do is do, but the first octave of do is is another do. It's a harmonic of do, like 1 is an harmonic of 10 is a harmonic of 1. So just by starting to apply this musical pattern to mathematics, it's starting to change a lot the way you see reality and the way you count and see numbers, because suddenly you see the cycle, the rhythm. And this is something that is missing a lot in our civilization. Like, we don't understand the notion of rhythm. Like, we use time. Time is a very important structure in our life, and this is the rhythm. But when we look at nature, we're like, okay, great, there's seasons, cool, there's day and night, of course. We can see that animals follow a certain cycle in the reproduction, but that's it. Like, we don't see how rhythm, this cycle principle, is really embedded into everything in reality, because the way we see reality is based on the decimal system. And the decimal system doesn't allow you to see those cycles. It just creates this infinity amount of infinite numbers. So I don't say infinity doesn't exist. I just think that infinity is actually based on a pattern that is just recycling himself, that we can't see because of the decimal system.
And so this links with what you're working with now and sacred geometry. Can you explain so sacred geometry in terms for yourself, what this means, how it's used in reality, or how it is operating in reality?
So sacred geometry is a very, very simple concept. Most of the people doesn't understand it, but it just like explain that there are some shape in reality, and those shape are again working by resonance, because everything follows the cycle, everything follows the same resonance principle, the same harmonics principle. So sacred geometry is nothing more than the expression of those sacred forms that we find in nature that can be embedded into specific geometry. And I actually find a way to manifest them using simple arithmetics. So arithmetics can actually drive you to combine numbers to create forms, and those forms actually show you a kind of language, a natural language that exists in nature, and is very coincident with cymatic. I don't know if you're aware of cymatic, like the art of sending vibration through matter and see patterns, geometry happening.
Like fractal patterns.
Fractals pattern, and the more you increase the frequency, and the more it creates a complex geometry, and show you that there's a direct correlation between sound and geometry, which is actually very interesting, because when you start to look at reality as a succession of geometry, then you understand that every geometry produces sound, produces specific resonance. And so then the whole reality is resonance in a way.
Okay, so I'm really excited about the next part here, because you've started working with plants and understanding that they're making music all of the time. And I'd love you to explain a little bit about this, because I'm sure for some people hearing this for the first time, it's sounds a bit wacky or a bit out there. But I know that you have a device which you can put next to the plant, and then we can hear the music coming from it.
Sorry, I didn't set it up today. I forgot that you wanted to do it tonight, but we can do it the next time. But basically, what's happening is this is a technology that will send electric signal to the plant, and the electric signal will actually induce a response from the plant, an electric response from the plant, through the electroconductivity of the plant, for example. So if you put like a captor on the leaf and a captor on the ground, you can create a loop, and this loop will actually measure like information coming from the plant, and that's how you can actually define a plant behavior. So this has been developed in the 60s by people who wanted to use it as a way to detect lies. So when people were lying, the plant were feeling kind of stress, an emotional stress, and they were actually seeing a pattern coming on a diagram. And this is the beginning of this collaboration with plants. Like initially it was there to identify naughty people. But then in a community in Italy called Damancure, they actually started to work with this to allow plants to talk with humans. And yeah, they just like change the variation and give a bit more amplitude into the response of the plant. And this will give us like a digital signal that can be sent to a sampler, and the sampler can then allocate sounds on it, and it creates beautiful music, beautiful concerts music.
Mm. And you've been playing around with this, and have you been doing some concerts with the plants?
Yes. I did some concert with plants, with human, with other plants, in the bush, in nature. Yeah, it's working. Like, not all the plants like to sing. Some of them are a bit more shy than others. Some of them can be a bit disturbed if there's too much attention, because they haven't been educated to be like giving too much attention. Like most of people like just ignore the plant. And when suddenly the plant feel that people are paying attention to her, like she feel a bit stressed. It could be a bit stressful sometimes. And
for the first time in front of a camera, for example.
Yeah, kind of, yeah, exactly. I think it's a bit more complicated than that. I think it also has to do with our energy, like the fact that when we are putting our consciousness on something, we are actually giving our attention, our care, our time, and force equal energy plus care. So like it's not just energy, we are giving energy plus attention. So energy plus attention give a force, and this force can be a bit like, yeah, disturbing for a plant. So some of them are really happy, some of them doesn't really care. They just like sing blah 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 blah. One actually sung for 24 hours in a row and she didn't stop. But some of them can just sing for 10 minutes and then stop and be like, what's going on here? Like, yeah, he doesn't look at me, so it doesn't need me to sing. It's really interesting, and it's not a question of species, or it's like in the same species you can have different reaction. The same plant can sing different things, different melody. Like there's no real rule. Some people can be very connected to you. Some people can be some plant can be very separated. Some trees will make pretty slow and majestic melodies. Like this is normally what happens. Like big trees create like a kind of slow and majestic, and grass will be more like more like light and quick. So yeah, like it seems that the size of the plant influence a little bit on the thing, but there's no real rule, because sometimes you have like big plant who create beautiful melody and small plant that doesn't want to sing. So yeah, it's really unpredictable.
Right. Yeah. Well, I hope that we'd be able to see you at the Global Freedom Festival playing a concert with plants, maybe by a wood or something, that would, so you could have a kind of an orchestra.
Yes.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. So I wanted to talk to you about the frequency that we're currently tuned into, and the actual the frequency of the Earth, which we've lost, and how this happened, and the significance of it, and work I know that you're doing, which sounds very exciting in a way to bring us back to this natural frequency.
So what do you want to know?
Oh well, so yeah, what are the frequencies? How did it happen that we lost the frequency of Earth and moved on to 440? I think, is it? And the work that you're doing now, which is so exciting regarding healing and getting us back there.
So yeah, like when you study sacred geometry, you find out that there's some specific pattern that exists in reality. And as I already said, patterns, geometrical patterns are also frequencies, as frequencies also induce geometry. So it seems that there's some geometry, some frequencies who are more in tune with natural law, and some other who are not. So I don't know if the human species really intentionally decided to move away from the natural law. In my research, it seems that the Nazi moved away the 432 hertz solfeggio into a 440 hertz solfeggio. Like, who knows? The fact is that today, when we're tuning an instrument, we are using the 440 hertz frequency. And in some cases, even 441 hertz. I heard recently, like, some people just decided to move away again. What is annoying with this is why? Like, why are they changing the frequency? Who is deciding this? Based on what? Based on which observation? Which science behind? And I never could find a real accurate explanation of why the 440 has been chosen over other type of frequency. But what annoys me a lot is that when you look at, for example, on the time scale that you are using, so 60 seconds, 60 minutes, 24 hours. So 60 second times 60 minute time, 24 hours give 86,400. 86,400, 864. 864 times 100 is the harmonic of 432. 432 times 2, so the harmonics of 432, 432 times 2 equal 864. So 60 second times 60 minute time 12 hours, so in half a day, or in one full time of sun or one full time of night, we have actually 432 times 100 seconds. So the question is, why are we using 440 if we are all in the whole planet using the 60 second and the 60 minutes and the 24 hours to define the time? Because frequency is the amount of oscillation per second. So if an oscillation is a movement, an up and down in 1 second, why are we not using something that is directly referring to the time scale?
Sure. Yeah, it's a mystery. Yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, I think the research that I did led me to the same thing. That it was Project Paperclip that took it to America, took the scientists to America, and then they.
Yeah, because it seems that the Nazi changed it to 440, and they tried to spread it all over the world, and people said no. But then after the Operation Paperclip, as soon as the Nazi came back in America, then suddenly America decided to move 432 to 440. And they used actually the telephone, the mobile home, the home phone of the people to spread this 440 hertz. And that's what we used to do. We used to actually take the phone to have the A, and we're tuning the guitar based on the A440. So, like, without sliding too much into conspiracy theory, if there's a natural resonance, and this resonance, this 432 times 100 second in half a day, or 86,400 seconds in a whole day, this actually sends us back directly to the motion of the Earth on itself, the revolution of the Earth on itself. So this is something quite important because since we're born on this planet, we have been exposed to this rhythm because the planet always rotated at the same speed. So, like, without being too like crazy, we can easily understand that our DNA, which is again a spiral, will actually resonate with a specific frequency, especially if since we were born, like before we were even born, like since we've been conceived, the resonance of the environment that we're living in was based on a specific rotation, a specific revolution that was based on this specific unit of time and movement. So, like, why are we not using this 432? If we understand that we grew up in this environment and we calibrated our organic cells on this frequency, what would happen if we were exposed to something that was out of this frequency? So 432, if we move away by 8 hertz, 440 it means that the vibration will vibrate 8 hertz faster than what it is in 1 second, which actually means that if the DNA was actually following the vibration of the 432, which seems to be the case, because in both cases, the DNA has a proportion based on the golden ratio. So the height of the DNA by the length of a cycle of DNA is embedding the golden number in angstrom. And this is also what's happening in sound. The sound also embed the golden ratio. So there's already a resonance in that point. Like we can easily understand that if the resonance of the sound is vibrating a tiny, tiny, tiny bit faster, then our DNA that would be exposed to this sound will be a tiny, tiny bit stressed. It will be compressed just by 8 hertz. And this can induce a lot of reaction in our body. And the first of them, I believe, is to be disconnected from nature, which actually could explain a lot of things. Could explain how we are so disconnected in this civilization with nature, because we actually lost this connection through the vibration, through the music that we are all so happily spreading all over the world, and that makes us so happy in a way. So there's a kind of paradox around that, like how this can give us so much joy, and in the meantime can destroy us so much. Yeah. Like that's something that I can't really explain, except when you start to work in the resonance field. Like resonance is this energy that goes in and goes out and goes in and goes out. Like it's this pattern that is following the heart in a way, and that is the natural energy that is in nature. So, for example, if you're using a singing bowl, like I don't know if you know that, but the Tibetan bowl, first Tibetan bowl, used to be tuned on 432 hertz. And it's the Western world who came and be like, yeah, sorry guys, but we are playing on 440, so can you please now make singing bowls in 440? The thing is that the Tibetan used to use their body to tune the bowl. They didn't use any instrument because they didn't have any machine to do that. So they were just like using the bowl and using their chakra and their natural resonance. They knew if something was resonating or not. But when the Western world came and be like, yeah, sorry guys, you need to do it in 440. So now we have bowl who are producing a 440 hertz frequency, and everyone seems to feel that it's okay. And I believe that this is really disturbing, because it means that the people are so disconnected with nature that they can't even identify if something is good for them or not.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it could be also linked then in this respect to
what?
Disease.
Yeah, disease is so modern medicine is specialized in removing symptoms. Symptoms are just the expression of something, the expression of something deeper. Like medicine doesn't really care about the cause; they just want to get rid of the symptom. And of course, the symptom is the consequences of an imbalance. You have something that doesn't work properly in your body, you have an imbalance, and then you have the body trying to respond to it. Sorry,
we lost you for a second there. Can you go back to when you just said about it causing an imbalance?
Yeah, sickness are induced by imbalance. So imbalance can come from many different forms. It could be due to food, stress, emotion. Just on the topic of the emotion, an emotion is an energy. It's something that has been created into our body. We don't really understand the concept of emotion. We think emotion in terms of hormones and in terms of electric impulse, but we don't really understand emotion, like the roots of the emotion and the interaction of the emotion with reality, and the connection of emotion with the water element, and the memories, like the notion of time. Emotion are connected to space, but they are more connected to time. The thing is that when we feel an emotion, this emotion is a discharge of energy. And just a second. Sorry.
Okay.
An emotion is a discharge of energy in your body that can induce a kind of damage in your body if you can't evacuate this energy. The way we used to manage it is just by walking barefoot. When you're walking barefoot, you're connected to the ground. Your hairs, which are your antennas, are connecting you from the sky to the earth. And when this is working properly, then the energy can naturally flow and can naturally goes from the sky to the earth and so on. When you're working with this level of shoes, then the energy can't really flow into the ground. So then the energy stays stuck into your body. And of course, like we're starting to like be doing what it's doing, which is creating chaos in some organs and resonate with some organs, depends of which emotion. So that's how we can find connection between emotions and organs, because each organ vibrates to a specific frequency, and an emotion is also an energy, so it also vibrates at a specific frequency. So then if you have anger or if you're frustrated or anything like this, then this emotion would be connected to the kidney or the lungs or the intestine and produce a distress. And this distress would then be expressed through symptoms. So instead of getting rid of the symptoms, just by working on the emotional level, by allowing people to walk barefoot, or just expressing their emotion through creation, through arts, or through whatever, you can heal a lot of disease. This is just one example. Electromagnetic distortion, Wi-Fi, 3G, all that are not respecting the natural law. They're not respecting the natural shape in the way the energy should be transmitted. And just by reshaping the way the energy is transmitted, and this is what organoids are doing, organs, the organs are just reshaping the energy by attracting the energy through the metal side. So the metallic side is attracting the resonance, and through the organic side, like it could be sand or it could be different type of organic element, it will filter the energy, so then the energy will not hurt you as badly as it used to, because you are not a piece of metal. You are essentially water with minerals, with trace of metals in your body. So when you start to see the connection between metal, vibration, waves, minerals, music, and you see that everything is interconnected, it starts to make lots more sense than just believing that, oh, you just came across a virus and, oh, too bad, you have a cancer now. It's like, no, it's an accumulation of things. If you're eating the wrong food, like GMOs and pesticides, if you're drinking water that is not energized, filtered with the right minerals and the right information, because everything is vibration. So the water that we are drinking carry an information. The water that comes from the pipe has been stressed, chemically treated, pressurized, and all that doesn't give you a good quality water. Doesn't carry much information, vital information from the earth, as well as used to be. Like we used to drink water from the source. Now we have a filtered, recycled water. So we again are disconnected from nature. Like only the people who go to the beach and connect with the ocean can still have a connection with the earth, because they still can have the water, the natural water, going through the skin and inform the body about what is going on earth. So when you're starting to take everything, every point, and see how disconnected we are through the food, the water, the wrong music, the wrong resonance, like it's starting to kind of make sense, the world we live in. Because there must be a reason. Like my bigger issue was always to be, are we fundamentally bad? Is the human species is fundamentally bad? Or are we just growing up in the wrong place? Like when you do a little bit of agriculture, you know that if you are not giving the right water, the right sun, and the right position to the plant can't just do the job. And now that I'm a daddy, and when I look into my baby's eyes, it's really hard for me to say, oh, you're a nasty human. Because it's not true. Like we're just born as beautiful, loving beings, and we're just growing up into an environment where the parents doesn't have time anymore for the kid. They don't have any patience. Kids is always looking for more things to learn, and the parents are exhausted between their work and the time that they have to spend with the family and all that. So of course we're going to create a generation of people who's going to feel a little bit separated from their family, or always feel that the family doesn't have time for them. And this is going to create like the roots of someone that will not be very open to relationship. And that's how we start to dig our own grave, like by separating us from each other, because we are, before everything, social beings.
Yeah, the water thing was very interesting for me, because I heard the other day, listening to someone, that it was also just about the way that the pipes are constructed. You know, the bend in the pipe and everything stops the natural flow of the water.
Of course.
Yeah, and it's in absolutely everything that I'm learning now. The disconnection, the dis-ease, like so yeah, the preventative measures are just not in place. And disease is always on the increase in this society at the moment, and then we have people saying alternative medicine, like the holistic medicine, the preventative care is you know, wacky or mumbo jumbo, or a number of derogatory or marginalizing terms. So what can we do to get back our natural frequency? I mean, I know that we've started tuning our guitars here to 432. But do you have some work or anything you're doing at the moment that is going to help us rediscover our connection with nature?
So if the question is about reconnecting to nature, the most fundamental things is, so first is about the music, I believe, because this is how I really like triggered my life. Like my life changed a lot as soon as I started to listen to 432, because I could feel in my whole body a kind of distress. I could feel, I don't know if you felt that, but like by listening to the 432 many times, you can starting to feel getting more relaxed, and this is a good point. Like it actually means that there was a stress with there before that couldn't be expressed in another way, and actually that the body is starting to feel what is. So there's the DNA starting to going back into a normal shape and all that. Like I can't prove any of this, of course, but the second point would be to spend at least 20 minutes every 4 or 5 hours to walk barefoot outside. And if possible, to have these 20 minutes where you are going to close your eyes and do a meditation connected with the earth. I think this is very important, because this connection also, because in hermetic knowledge, we know that it's all about polarity, as above, so below. When we are looking too much outside of ourselves and not looking as much inside of ourselves, there's an imbalance created already. If we are just swearing our perception of reality based on the outside world, we are missing 50% of the reality, because 50% is inside. I always ask a question to people who can't understand that. I'm like, does it ever happen to you to think loud in your mind? Like to speak in yourself in your mind? Most of the people say yes. Okay. I have a very short and simple question. If you are talking in your mind, who is listening? Who is listening? Who is the one that listened to your voice in your mind? And as soon as you start to ask this question, you need to come to the conclusion that there's something inside of you that doesn't really communicate with you, that is just quietly listening. And it's the same thing that is inside of you, inside of all the human beings. And my theory is that this thing is what connects the whole humanity. And that every time that we think in our mind, we actually talk to ourselves as a global community. So this is something very fundamental. Like when you're meditating, you try not to think, because you try to hear this tiny little voice that is inside of you, that is just like speaking very, 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 very with a very beautiful, tiny voice, truth that your ego doesn't want to listen. So that's why it's speaking so loud. And I think that just by spending a little bit of time with yourself, closing your eyes, not trying to close this mind that constantly speaks, and just trying to not think, not see, not listen, not touch, like just having this total annihilation of senses, we actually rebalance this excess of stimulus from outside, like this computer, this image, this relation, this outside world that constantly drag our energy out. This is maybe the biggest and fundamental unbalance of our civilization. We are spending so much time outside of us and not as much inside, that this creates an imbalance between the outside and inside world.
I know that Eileen's listening very intently here. I just want to see if she has any questions for you at this point. Or maybe you can think about that and ask in a bit. Yeah? Okay, great. So yeah, to continue with it, then when we were speaking before, I know that you were saying that you had something that you think was going to be ready in a few months. We were talking about introducing you to some tech people that we're working with here at Synergy Hub. So can you explain a little bit about the projects you're on?
So the project that we're on is to create a technology, so miniaturizing the plant machine, and also reduce the cost, because the plant machine is a bit expensive. It's about 900 euros, and there's quite a lot of cables, and it's a big box, and it's not really modern. So what I wanted to do with them is to reduce the machine into something that would be smaller, plug and play, connected to Wi-Fi, to your phone, like interconnected, going to a server, and then like internationally connecting plants through the world. So the idea was that if the system polluted our environment by putting 440 hertz on our mobile phone and telephone, we are going to pollute their plan by putting 432 hertz in all the music plant machine of the world. So we want to create something that would be as cheap as a gadget. So then everyone would be like, yeah, you know what? I have a plant. Why not having a music, like a radio at home? Like instead of just having a beautiful plant, now the plant would be able to sing. Why not? Especially if it's not too expensive. Yeah, like just having something that doesn't look that dangerous, or that doesn't look that like, oh, it's going to change, going to open your consciousness. No. It's just going to make your plant sing. That's it, which is pretty cool already. And but by doing the side effect would be to rebring 432 hertz frequency into an environment, create an acknowledgement that human species is not the only living species on Earth. There's a lot of other form of living, form of existence existing in this reality. The only difference between a human and an animal and a plant is just the ability to create. That's it. It doesn't mean that the plant or the animal doesn't learn, but their amplitude of learning and the amplitude of experimenting, which is the base of experience, learning, the learning process comes from learning first and experimenting first, or creating. Their ability to create is smaller than ours. Mm-hmm. And this is how the way they can create beauty or chaos in this reality is smaller than ours. Like we have an amazing ability to create, or we have an amazing way to destroy, which are both the expression of this experimentation of what we learned. So I actually believe that we are living now a moment of amazing creation and amazing destruction, based on what we have to learn in regards to where we want to be and where we want to grow. So yeah,
I think that what we're seeing a lot around the world is almost like a crescendo now, this awakening, and at the same time the control system violently struggling to survive. I don't see that there's really a possibility of it surviving. I really do feel that this is now such a huge thing all around the world. People are waking up every single day, and beautiful people such as yourself are coming up with these wonderful ways to reconnect us through the 432 and many other many other devices and things that are coming, such as the ones we're creating here, the new internet, the non-linear expression of the internet, so that it's decentralized and it hands back all the information to everyone from grassroots, local level, all the way up, rather than the hierarchical pyramid structure that we're used to. And I just wondered if there's anything else that you know that's happening right now, which is very exciting to you specifically, or that you know that it has the capability to make a big change in the world.
Like, for example, this afternoon I spent something like 8 hours working nonstop on doing huge amount of experiment to understand the nature of energy. Because this is something, again, that is a big mystery. Like, we know that Einstein did it something like 95% wrong. So it's considered as a big genius, but we know today that most of what he claimed to be true, claimed to be accurate, was actually all wrong, but really badly wrong. Like when he said that we can't go faster than the speed of light, we know today that we can go much faster than the speed of light. Like when he spoke about the relativity, we know that this is not completely accurate. Like most of the things that he said was actually wrong, but the science today still doesn't want to admit things. So I think the most exciting things that we are living now is understanding the nature of elements. What is this reality? What is an atom? What is an electron? What is energy? What is a wave? What is, like, science seems to always have a good answer, but when you dig a little bit, when you always like look a little bit further, you're like, there's something wrong. There's something very wrong in the way we understand it. So I spent like the whole day to work on understanding really the nature of electric field, of electromagnetic field, of magnetic field. What is it in relation to sound? How sound can be, what is the difference between sound and energy? And because a project that I'm working on since 4 years now is producing electricity for free. Because as soon as we're going to be able to produce electricity for free, we can produce water for free by condensing humidity, and we can have access to infinite amount of transformation. Because the big issue of us as civilization today is first extracting resource, and second transforming resource. And both need energy. And transporting, of course, transporting the resource. So if the three of them can be, maybe not for the first one, because Earth would still produce the minerals, or we can recycle them, or we can learn, as apparently what the Russian did, the art of transmutation. The Russian actually recently said that they discovered 20 years ago already how to transmute elements. And I believe that after 20 years of secret research, they must be pretty evolved today. If we know how to transmute elements, so basically we are surrounded by nitrogen and oxygen and carbon dioxide. So technically, we should be able to use this oxygen and transform it into another element, and basically manifesting object in our hand. Like that's what excites me in the future. And this is not crazy. This is science. This is scientific. It's not like alchemists who were working on that. It was real scientific, maybe not Western scientific, maybe more Eastern scientific, Russian scientific, which have a much different understanding of reality than us. Yeah, they came with this thing, and I was like, okay, so if now we can transmute element, great. The only thing that we need is energy. And like we have all this bullshit about the fundamental law saying that, yeah, a law is only a law if it can apply at every level of existence. And the law of conservation of energy just happen in one specific segment of reality, which is, okay, you have an input, you have an output, you can't have more in output than you have in input. Bullshit. This is bullshit. What about the breatharian people? Breatharian people doesn't eat, doesn't drink, and they still maintain a full body alive. So where's the input? What is the output? How they transmute this energy, where this energy is coming from. So this low conservation of energy is a total bullshit, but it's a great excuse for people who doesn't want to change anything in the world. They're like, oh yeah, the law already said that, so we can't change the law. This is not a law. The real law, the hermetic laws, are laws who are taking the stars and the subatomic level at the same with the same principles. So yeah, I worked over the last 4 years to understand the nature of energy and understanding how we could manifest electricity for free. So then humanity could have access to unlimited transportation, unlimited transformation, unlimited power. And what about anti-gravity and transmutation and teleportation? Like all that would not be that complicated in the quantum field. So yeah, like that's what I'm excited about.
Excellent, that's amazing. Eileen, do you have anything you'd like to ask Roman here?
Oh, you talk way too much. Like, stop. That's enough. Like, sorry.
No, it's just I learned a lot now, and it's combining all these things I was learning the last 2 years from different places, like New Healing Festival this year from Hans Gusto. He was talking about the frequencies and the planetary frequencies as well, and the geometry you just mentioned, and so it's really nice to hear that more than just this person is working and finding things out about this. So what I wanted to know is what if you kind of have also heard about this planetary frequencies and the music with the frequency of the planets, and what if you heard about it, what do you know, and did you work with that already as well?
So yeah, I heard about them. I worked on a few of them, but I haven't really came deeper into the resonance of the stars for many reasons. The first one is that I don't like working on something that I can't really measure by myself. Everything that I'm doing, I'm trying to do it by myself. I'm trying to do things that are, like, for example, today I spent 8 hours doing tests with things and tools that anyone can buy. So, because there's so much lies outside, there's so much disillusion that so far, like the 432 hertz is something that is very important. Initially, it was just information that came across my mind. But now I have a deeper understanding of the 432. I can explain mathematically where the 432 is coming from. I can explain the relationship of the 432 in regards to many other numbers and why this number is so important. For the planet, it's a whole different topic. I study astrology a little bit, but the bigger problem that I have with planets is that I'm not sure of what they are. I'm not sure of what is Saturn. I'm not sure of what is Mercury or Mars or Venus, and I can't see yet the relevance of them on me and on my reality, and which tool can I use to measure the impact of those stars on me. So yeah, I'm trying to work first on my environment before expanding it to something that I can't really control. And I'm always a bit reluctant to work on the universe because it's always send you back to the NASA, and I don't really like those people. I don't really like the information that they're giving about us. I don't like bullshit. I have a kind of bullshit meter who's always like putting big red flag every time that NASA says something. So when they speak about sounds coming from the universe, frequency traveling in vacuum, I'm like, I can't even believe yet, like, the story about the man going on the moon. So, like, if I can't trust them on that, I can't trust them on many different things. So yeah, that's why I haven't worked too much on this one.
How does life look like in 5 years for you, if you kind of
How does, sorry, what?
How does your life and the environment around you look like in your imagination in the next 5 years?
So I hope in the next year or so, me and the people I'm working with will release the plan for people to build a free energy device at home. So then people will be able to disconnect from the grid and stop paying the bill and stop funding this stupid system. We're also working on a project of creating a kind of cell that will allow cars to run on air. So you just plug this cell on your motor and the car just run on air. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but not too much. And the whole idea is that if we can do that, if we can, because there's many different ways, like we can have electric motors and run on free electricity, or we can have plasmic energy running your car and transforming the nitrogen, which is an explosive, like, you know, TNT, trinitroglycerin, is an explosive. So it seems that the oxygen is a powerful explosive, but the nitrogen is an even more explosive. And we could actually run a car on pure nitrogen with no fuel by using specific type of cells. I hope that this is happening. Running for free, having free electricity at home, an electricity that will not create a disorder in your body, because we understand the effect of resonance and frequency on the body. So instead of working with a 60 hertz and a lot of different frequencies who are not good for us, we would actually like work with frequency that will harmonize the body and harmonize the plant and harmonize the animals instead of destroying us. I also hope that the financial system will change and base revenue will be given to everyone, so we don't have to struggle to be alive. Like, we don't have to struggle, we don't have to work to have the right to be alive. That's I think that would be enough for 5 years if we can reach this.
Good start.
That would be a good start. Yeah, that would be a good start. Yeah, I'm not talking even about the politics or the Monsanto and pharmaceutical industry, of course. Like, as soon as the people will wake up and understand the principal law of creation, which are first that the reality is polarized, which means that everything is separated, which means that you have a left and a right. You don't have 10 fingers. You have 5 masculine fingers and 5 feminine fingers. Everything is polarized. So then if you want to heal yourself, like, you can just work with light frequency or sound frequency or electromagnetic frequency or plant frequency. Like, what is drug? A drug is just a frequency, chemical frequency that just internal reaction with the rest of your beautiful symphonic body, and trying to rebalance the body, which is a big hoax, because when you put such artificial frequency into your body, you can't really expect harmony. Knowing that this frequency has been taken from a plant that hold I don't know how many natural components, and we just extracted 2 or 3 of them. So we actually create an imbalance, because in reality everything is polarized. So for every component you need to have a counterbalance component that balances it. You know, it's the big difference between mushroom and LSD. You know, LSD, it's just an extraction of the active component of the mushroom, but the mushroom also have thousands of other components who are counterbalancing it and interacting with the natural body, which is ours. If we are extracting something and we are processing something, these become dangerous for us. And that's why we call it a drug. So when the people will start to understand that, and they understand that, oh, instead of eating a drug, why not reconnecting with the plant or using the frequency of the plant to heal myself? Then, like, it's going to be the end of this whole big fake science, medicine, law system, energy, technology bullshit, and we're going to go back into something real. Because if I know that if I can speak to myself, which happen quite often, I can actually speak to you, speak to the whole world, because everyone will have access to this knowledge in the global consciousness. And I can prove it already, because between 4 years ago, when I started to speak about this sacred arithmetics, it used to take about like 4 hours to do what I can do now in 20 minutes. So it seems that the people get it much, much quicker. So it seems that this is already in the global consciousness. It's already there. It's spreading slowly from word of mouth. While we're sleeping, we are reconnected to the global consciousness and downloading more information. And the more we're going to be in tune with the natural law, the more we're going to share this natural knowledge, and we can all have access to it very quickly. So, like, honestly, I don't see anything bad from there. It's a difficult time, of course. It's like if you want to jump over a hole, you need to take a lot of speed, and then you're going to be able to jump. And I think this is what we did. Like we walked behind, and now it's going to be time to jump forwards and accelerate and accelerate and accelerate to be able to jump from this level of existence to another level of existence. Because I believe that the bigger lie of our modern society, on the top of making us believe that we are our identity, I believe that the identity is the idea of an entity. So this is the parasite that block us from moving forwards. The idea of an entity, the idea of what we think we are, the idea of what we believe we can do. This is what blocks us from moving faster and faster and faster, and reaching this level of God that we all are. Inside of us, we're all gods. We just don't know about it. So as soon as we're gonna forget about this idea of entity, this identity that we believe we are based on previous experience, and we're going to just forget everything that we thought was right, everything that we thought was wrong, as a part of an ancient time, a different dimension that happened in a previous life, even if it was just yesterday, then we're going to be open to the infinite amount of possibility and allow them to manifest to our life. That's a good conclusion. That's a really good conclusion.
It's a great conclusion. And yeah, it's like the mind is a really bad secretary that's is always trying to convince us that of the sense of the possible being smaller than it actually is. Everything just depends, to me, on the sense of what is possible. And the more I'm discovering every day in the work that we're doing here at the Synergy Hub in Rotterdam and talking to people such as yourself, Roman, is that, like, literally that anything is possible, and that we're on the cusp of great change in the world. And it is a difficult time. Oh, on that note, I wanted to recommend a documentary I'm not sure you're aware of, but considering we've been talking about frequency and resonance, it's actually, the name of it is Resonance, Beings of Frequency. And it talks about possible reasons why the bees, what's the name of this disease that the bees are all dropping dead? You know the one I'm...
Not in English.
Not in English. you know what I mean? I forget the name of it, doesn't matter. But yeah, Resonance, Beings of Frequency is a very good documentary. It's all about the electromagnetic sphere being corrupted by all of the Wi-Fi and everything that we discussed a little bit. And that it's disharmonizing the natural world, so that bees aren't able to follow their natural rhythm anymore. So that's probably why they're having a hard time. Anyway, so that was just a recommendation for you, and that was a wonderful conclusion for this show, Roman. So perhaps we can talk again really soon when you have set up your plant, and we can go into more detail with all of that. That would be wonderful.
With pleasure.
Yeah? Excellent. Okay.
Thanks for singing for us. And I have one little personal question for the end.
Sure.
What makes your heart singing?
What makes my heart sing? I think, yeah, the love for humanity. Just the love for humanity. We are such a beautiful species that just doesn't know it. We're just like wasting our time, destroying ourselves, doubting of ourselves, living the experience of separation, which I believe is the whole purpose of existence. Just it's like the universe looking at itself and see the separation that is outside, which is the duality that what is inside. And yeah, it just like makes me sad sometimes to see the pain, the suffering, the separation. But I also know by working on sacred geometry that reality is perfect. And that makes a huge difference. When you know the perfection of reality, then you can accept the chaos, and you understand the chaos as a way to change from one level of existence to another level of existence. The chaos is the only way that nature found to make you feel uncomfortable enough, so you're going to kick your ass and go out of your comfortable zone. So I think today we are in a really, really nasty, uncomfortable situation. I'm sure you heard about the Pizzagate and all that things coming, and when a lot of people would start to open their mind on who were telling what to think, who were telling what to do, who were telling them how to educate their kids and blah, blah, blah. And the more all of those people, then suddenly a lot of people are going to wake up, and they're going to need...
Sorry, another thing that's massive right now is the Standing Rock.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Yeah, with the veteran who begged for forgiveness. Now, that was beautiful. It was so emotional to see them. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen that, no.
Oh, wow. This is from this morning. This is the news. Yeah, the veteran begged to the Indian, the native Indian, to forgive them for what they did to them. And yeah, it was a very emotional time to... And we couldn't feel like there was no hate from the Indian, because the Indian people have a much deeper understanding of what is happening. They knew what was happening way before us. They actually knew the white people were coming and killing them, and they also knew that this is inevitable. Like, this is something that had to happen, and they actually know what's going to happen next. So it's not easy. Nothing is easy when the butterfly is ready to break the cocoon. It's of course a time of insecurity and a time of pain. We just need to hold on to it, stay together, and just like allow this connection to come around us. And thank God, internet, and like this is something that I was hoping to happen. A new internet that would be free and free of access. Because if the experience of the duality is to feel the separation, internet is the antidote to the separation. It's actually this international, global connection that will reunify people from the outside. And that, because if we're already connected from the inside and disconnected, then as a coincidence, internet just came to reconnect from the outside world what was separated from the inside. So for me, like, there's no coincidence. It's just, of course, if we found a way to disconnect ourselves in the 50s, 60s from the natural law, bam, in the same time, the military created the internet in the 60s. How beautiful this is, how perfect this is. We couldn't have done it in a better way. Like, if we look at a bigger perspective, history was made of countries who were separated and always trying to invade themselves. The Western world was creating chaos between them, like the whole Europe was a mess for years and years and years, invasion, destruction, killing. And the Eastern world was like this stable Indian, Chinese culture who didn't do much, they just stay. And I believe that reality doesn't like that. They don't like chaos in one side and stillness in the other side, because we are here to evolve. And evolution is a mix between stillness and chaos. So in my understanding of history, the Western world was here to bring this global chaos, which actually allowed the global reconnection that we are living now, to allow the global evolution of the species. And it couldn't have happened in a different way. it had to happen this way.
And to touch on what you were saying as well about these native people knowing for a long time what was going to happen, and also what will happen next. There was and we're talking about the internet. There was I'm not absolutely certain on the exact tribe, but perhaps the Hopi or the Kogi tribe, who said that and one day there will be a web all over the earth, and that is most likely alluding to the internet, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, we better leave it there because I think the Zoom thing's beeping at me. But I will love to talk to you again soon, Roman. When we've got, so let me know when you've got a spare hour again, spare hour and a half, and have the plants, and we can go a bit deeper.
Pleasure, of course. Thank you for inviting me. Have a beautiful day.
Yes, you too, Roman. Thanks very much again. Bye bye.
Bye bye.